What is up, Juju Gang? Hope everyone is well. Happy Sunday. Another Sunday Tesla Macro Power Hour live stream. I hope everyone's doing well. The second week of our Sunday streams. Let's do a big catch up. And before I get into it, I'm going to go through the agenda for the day. I got a lot lined up. And let me know where you guys are tuning in from in the chat, city, state, country, whatever you guys feel comfortable sharing. DJ, how's it going? Chadwick, Own. Digital, congrats, my friend, on ordering a Tesla, picking it up on Wednesday. That's awesome. Ordered on Friday, picking up on Wednesday. I think they're giving me a showroom model. Interesting, huh? And you're from the East Coast, right? So, how's it going, Ron from Ecuador? Let me. Okay, hold on. Here we go. Here to support a fellow loony stacker. Shot of maple syrup in hand. Mark, my friend, appreciate that. Go Canucks. Chadwick from Cleveland, Ohio. Yeah, feel free to throw that in. I'll shout some out. But before I do, I'm going to go through some of the agenda for the day. As you guys can see, I got breaking news up here. Breaking, UBS has agreed to buy Credit Suisse in a historic government brokered deal. Further details on that. UBS agrees to buy Credit Suisse for more than $2 billion. Now, if you remember, Credit Suisse was, a $7 billion company on the Friday, so a couple of days ago. Tomorrow morning, it's going to open up essentially worth less than $2 billion or right around $2 billion-ish dollars. Now, we talk about canary in the coal mine. It seems like this is essentially opening up to where everyone is worried about more of a systemic issue with banks and what's happening. We'll get into a little bit of that. And the agenda for the day, other than that, is also, and I'll just try to remember myself, some macro talk with puts, some FOMC news that I want to get into. By the way, the Swiss government is holding a press conference in about 3 or 4 hours here that we're going to want to talk about. Bitcoin and how that relates to hyperinflation. Then we'll get into Tesla FSD. I've got an FSD video pulled up here that I want to watch through. And then some more Tesla talk around stock and macro and how Tesla stock is going through. Now, remember, if you didn't have this on your radar, put this on your radar. Tuesday, Wednesday is FOMC. So on Wednesday, March 22nd, we're going to get a J Powell press conference, and this is going to be a big press conference. It's going to be essentially the press conference that everyone talks about. Is it going to be the first pause FOMC? Now, my money's still on, I think, a 25 basis point hike. The markets are essentially saying that that's like the leading indicator of what's going to happen or just a dominant move. But if they pause, that would be a big signal. And of course, a lot of people are saying even if they raise by 25 basis points, it's quite tone deaf and that they should pause. So take that with a grain of salt. Manila, how's it going, my friend? Guyana, Switzerland here, Germany, Connecticut. Marco from Amsterdam, how's it going, Marco? Wow, Santa Fe, New Mexico. Mimi, how's it going from Sweden? Cupertino, Ontario, Canada, home of the newest Volkswagen battery factory. Awesome, Raymond. Sweden. Santa Maria, California. Crust says evening, which means he must be in a different time zone altogether. So FOMC out of the way. Let's talk about this UBS news just real quick here and how that might tie into some of the option action that we were seeing on the Friday. So this is by the Short Bear on Twitter. All-time put record buying. Friday, 37.4 million put options were traded. The second biggest was 33.6 million contracts on September 23rd, 22nd. On Thursday, 27.3 million put options contracts were bought. This is the 8th largest ever. This comes at a time when we see record SPY inflow. Something is brewing below the surface, and huge bets are being made and hedged, in my opinion. So he shows this graph here, and this is the source is Goldman Sachs, FICC, and Equities Futures Market Strats team, pulled on sometime last week. So in general, you can see options volume is just increasing over time, or put volume in this case is just increasing over time anyways. But that large spike that we've seen, it has to be big money hedging into what they thought was going to be a crazy weekend with UBS, Credit Suisse, Swiss government coming through. And so as we sit here and we talk about this news, it seems like this week is bound to be a very uncertain one, and if not a red one to open at the very least. At least as we sit here and we talk about it right now, that's just my indication. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. And another thing we'll do here for today's stream, and last stream, no one really wanted to come on, but it's okay. We'll have callers come in on the show. I just threw it in the chat there. If you want to come on, Give your thoughts on anything bank related, Tesla related. Feel free to. Seattle, how's it going, Michael? Tesla Cylon from Atlanta, England, Liverpool. Chadwick says breaking FSD was not utilized in the most recent crash in Newport Beach. Yes, that just came out. I just saw that on Drive Tesla Canada, I believe. Actually, let me just pull that up. Drive. Yeah, type today. Drive Tesla Canada, I think, just posted this as well. Tesla Autopilot not active during the fatal Newport Beach crash in 2022. So, obviously, still terrible news with what's happened there, but it looks like Autopilot was not indeed at play there. Okay, so let's pull up Webull and let's look at the. Oh, actually, no, I got. I want to pull up Yahoo Finance or Google Finance just to see the week. Now, what's interesting is last week to me, it really felt like a crazy up and down. And let me get rid of this Tesla ticker. You guys don't need to see that right now. It really felt like to me one of the kind of roller coaster type weeks and kind of a nothing burger. But at the end of the day, the kind of net of last week, Tesla still finished up 7.5%. So really interesting. Tesla finished up still 7.5% versus Apple's 5%. Nvidia was crazy up last week, 13%. And remember, the Qs were up right around 7% as well. So even though, I don't know, maybe it was just me. Let me know in the chat if it was just a me thing. But it felt like last week was kind of a blah, like up, down, -3%, like kind of just a while. It didn't really feel like an up 7% week. But here we are sitting on an up 7% week. Now, the trailing month, so trailing 30 days, Tesla is still negative about 8.7% versus the NASDAQ's up 4%, right? So, of course, divergence there in the last 3 months, or last 30 days, pardon me. But if you look at the last year to date, so January 1 till now, January 3rd in this case, the first trading day, Tesla's up 66.6%. Wow, okay, interesting. Versus the NASDAQ's 15.5%. So Tesla outperforming 4 times essentially what the macro is here. I reckon a lot of us probably forgot how strong Tesla's been year to date. And of course, you could definitely argue who cares, because if you look at the last 1 year, Tesla's still down 41% versus NASDAQ's down 12%. So again, it's one of those cases where depending on what time frame you want to use, you can kind of paint your own narrative of what's important, or what, Tesla sucks because in the last year it's down 41%. Oh, Tesla's great because, year to date it's up this much. So and of course, if you go to 5 years out, different story altogether. But it's one of those, and let's do 6 months. 6 months. Okay, so even 6 months actually paints more of a stark picture here for us. September 19th. 2022 until today, Tesla down 41% versus the NASDAQ's down up 5%, pardon me. And look at Nvidia essentially doubling the last 6 months here. Crazy. So again, it seems like, you can kind of paint whatever picture you want. Marcus says, I become numb to Tesla going up or down. I just wait power in 10 years. I definitely resonate with the numb feeling. Maybe says, I'm worried about people getting hysterical about the bank crisis. Everyone needs to stay calm. It's one of those things, right, where it's like that Michael Scott Office scene where everyone's running out from the fire, and that fire drill that's happening, the smoke's coming out. You got to stay calm. But the thing is, you're also potentially in a burning building. So unless you take action, you might just end up screwing yourself. So it's one of those things where you got to protect yourself, of course. But it's also like, if everyone thinks like that, then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy in that way as well, right? So, yes. Let's see here. Hi from Romania. Bogdan, how's it going? Farm Corn Bank Gas. Corn is gasoline, the price market, 500 miles per day. Aptera wind factor, small, 71. You know what's funny, actually, about wind? There's been a lot of murmurs in the Tesla community lately about wind farms, about Tesla wind turbines, mostly from Farzad, I feel like. I'm not sure if that's something that Tesla wants to go down, but it is something that I do find interesting, because, we talk about solar a lot, but I wonder if wind can be implemented as well with Tesla. So we shall see. Alex says hi from Jacksonville, Florida. How's it going, Alex? One of the most important Fed meetings of all time, or in some time. So I agree. This Fed meeting that we have coming up, I think it's less important what they end up doing unless it's outside of expectations. I think they will just raise by 25 basis points. But that press conference that comes out after in the Q&A, I really think they're going to have to really speak. They're going to really have to speak dovish to the market to give some sort of confidence to regular people that have money in the US system. And actually, this brings up my next talking point, which I think is really, really interesting. Okay, let me pull this up. So if you didn't catch this, hold on, which tab do I have it? So I tweeted something yesterday. I said, so the guy who predicted COVID lockdowns, border closures, and the remote craze in January of 2020 is now saying the Bitcoin is going to be greater than $1 million, and that USD is entering hyperinflation in 90 days. I meant to say pay closer attention here. And here's the context. So Balaji, who you guys might follow on Twitter, he's a super rich guy, super smart guy. He's on a lot of podcasts. He's big on Twitter. He is essentially betting right here. Hold on. So I'll take that bet. You buy one Bitcoin, I'll send $1 million USD. This is 41 odds as Bitcoin is worth 26K. The term is 90 days. And he goes on to say, just as 2008, the bankers lied. This time, the central bankers, the banks, the bank regulators have all lied to dollar holders and depositors. This isn't your typical fractional reserve situation. The problem is that there isn't enough banks on a mark-to-market basis to cover withdrawals. They knew this through all of last year and communicated it internally in their coded language. It's obvious from the graphs below, the central banks, the banks, and the banks regulators all knew a huge crash was coming. The phrase unrealized losses, but they'll never notified you, the depositor. Instead, the regulators allowed the banks to hide their literal insolvency in the footnotes until one guy figured it out. It's Uncle Sam Bankman-Friedman. Just like SBF used your deposits to buy shitcoins, using accounting tricks to fool himself and others into using the money, so did the banks. And so he goes on to lay out his thesis here. And so essentially, he's saying we're going to hit hyperinflation within the next 90 days. And of course, you talk about appeal to authority. That's not my point here, but this is not a stance that I really have seen up until yesterday. And I tweeted this out, and hold on one second here. He tweeted this out saying, so I am moving $2 million into USDC for the bet. I will do it with Medlock and one other person. The terms of the bet. Ideally, someone can set up a smart contract with Bitcoin, where Bitcoin is worth greater than $1 million in 90 days, then I win. If it's worth less than $1 million in 90 days, then the counterparty gets the $1 million in USD. So he's betting on hyperinflation hitting the US dollar within 90 days. Now, of course, some people are saying, well, look, is he just trying to pump Bitcoin, right? Because he must own a lot of Bitcoin. Worst case, Bitcoin, he loses a $2 million bet, but he has a lot of Bitcoin and it goes up. I have a hard time just seeing that, given his net worth is over $1.5 billion. I just don't think, I think the reputation for someone that's worth $1.5 billion is worth more than an extra billion even, right? Or an extra half a billion. I think the reputation is worth more. But look into his sources. Everyone is trying to take him on his bet. And it seems like, to me, the reason why I think this is important is, number one, because it's very counter to my view. But number two, it actually gives us a date, like 90 days from today, right? So he thinks there's like a deadline here. It's not like one of those things where, a crash is coming. When? I don't know, but it's coming, right? It's like that's not useful. But the 90 days mark really, I think, paints a starker picture here for where macro might be headed. And of course, his bet is essentially, look, banks don't have money to back depositors. The Fed's going to step in. When the Fed steps in everywhere systemically, money is going to go to crap because money doesn't mean anything anymore. And that's going to cause hyperinflation. And where will people run? Gold, Bitcoin, right? Digital gold. So that's his major bet here coming up. So let me know your thoughts in the comments here. But I don't know. It's something that's got my mind a little bit not spinning, but like just the wheels turning a little bit more. The Fed burger. Ganesh says, yeah, should many overlook this info shared in the many meetings of Tesla? HVAC, what is your thoughts? Share. Well, Tesla HVAC is very popular. Everyone comments it all the time. My thoughts are generally the same thoughts I have with any Tesla related product. Let's get out the products that we've announced first. Cybertruck. Let's talk $25,000. Well, I guess Roadster would qualify before that. Let's talk about these products prior to trying to launch new products Tesla bought. I get it. HVAC is really popular, and someone could easily make the point, hey, look, it's way easier than to make the Tesla bot. But then why did we announce, why did Tesla announce, keep saying we for some reason, but, why did Tesla announce all these products if they weren't going to launch them first? So my opinion is generally Tesla should continue to silently build in the background off of these new products. But let's get out the products that we've talked about for so long and people have been waiting for with pre-orders prior to. At least that's just my thought. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Or if you want to come on, I'll pin. Actually, I didn't pin this. I'll pin. Check the pin message. Call into the stream if you want. Thoughts on ARK? Oh, ARK is. Look, I still read their. Research. I think their research papers are good. A lot of people disagree with their trading strategies and the ways that they manage their ETFs. But their research, whenever someone dumps in millions of dollars into research into something that I'm interested in, I think it's probably prudent that I read it. The same reason why I try to read Goldman Sachs or Morgan Stanley's bearish notes is because, they're putting in a lot of money whether we like it or not. So there's some data points or some things that we can intertwine into our thesis, bull or bear. So generally speaking, I think the ARK ETF story is a little bit sad at the moment, but the research I still take into consideration. Remember, they were one of the first ones to get. They were the only research firm to really get Tesla stock price right the first go around, right? So we shall see. And let's talk a little bit about technicals on Tesla sitting here. This is the daily on Tesla. So we have our hard stop, our 21 moving average, about 191 sitting on Tesla. 180 at the moment as we currently talk. And then on the downside, really, there's not a lot of levels to look at. One of them, though, being about 165. That's our low over the range from last week or a couple weeks ago now at this point. But again, I continue, and I said this last Sunday, I continue to look at this gap that we have here from the 25th of January to the 26th, that huge gap up from 143 to 160 as really, if we can't hold our 9 moving average at 180, which is pretty much what we closed at here, assuming assuming it's a down week, that's really the level I look at to fill on the downside. Now, I'm not sure how the market's reacting to all the Credit Suisse news. I'd imagine it's going to be systemic confusion, systemic worrying going on. And with the FOMC this week as well, I just don't see how you make a big move up prior to us knowing what's happening with the Fed. So we shall see. Mark. Yeah, so we shall see with the UBS news and the Credit Suisse. But look, it doesn't bode well for what's happening, generally speaking, for confidence in the market. And what's actually interesting about the Credit Suisse news as well is that the Switzerland Central Bank has given UBS a liquidity line of $100 billion to tap into as a part of its deal to buy Credit Suisse. So it's actually insane. That's a lot of liquidity. I guess they have to backstop and they have to show that they have, some sort of backing here. But man, it's quite crazy. It's quite crazy. And if you look at the NASDAQ, by the way, as well, I think it's important to look at the NASDAQ. Here's one bearish point on the NASDAQ. We're at the 300 moving average, which a lot of people don't care about. But again, we got slapped off of it last time I mentioned it in the beginning of February. I said we're approaching a hard supply zone at the top. Now, it might be a double top, and we actually might look to break through here. But look, there's a lot of supply that lives up here. algo traded supply. A lot of algorithms will set their stops or set their buy or will sell the put their sell signals at key resistance points on the top side, and probably a little bit even lower. So that's why we look at this when we're approaching key levels. And the 300 moving average, that bright green line up top here, is where the NASDAQ sits at. So if you're talking about bad news getting injected into the market, and a lot of people potentially, a lot of institutional investors, potentially prop traders, that are looking at the general markets and saying, yeah, this news doesn't really bode well for us. And plus, we're pretty close to our stops. It's something to take into consideration. Now, of course, if we break through these key levels, then it's a different story, right? But the last time the NASDAQ broke through the 300 moving average was February of last year, or pardon me, middle of March of last year was the last time the NASDAQ was over the 300 moving average with any degree of confidence, right? Not just like peering its head out for a second. Last year, March was the last time, right? Just let that sink in for a second. And I'll try to actually make it a little bit cleaner. I know it's hard to probably see on the stream. Let me get rid of this line as well. Look at that. So follow that bright green line. This is our 300 moving average. This was last March, right around where my mouse is. And you'll see the NASDAQ has not traded above that range since we're pretty much over. We're going on to a year here, right? Going on to a year here. So, if we talk about breaking through and having upside, well, this is the week to show it. This is definitely the week to show it. But remember, the NASDAQ is a conglomeration of all of our favorite stocks. Usually, I mean, if you're watching this channel, you're probably big on tech stocks or you just like tech stocks. So it's going to be something to watch for at the very least. Always sitting on Tesla. Richard, how's it going? Not legal advice. We're always sitting on Tesla. Where's my hat? Somewhere in the living room here. But remember, on the Sunday streams, folks, we play Tesla morning price guessing game. And last week, I have to give a shout out to Marco. Marco won our Tesla opening price guessing game himself. And it's funny because he actually awesomely took a screenshot of all the guesses. And then he's like, okay, well, we'll find out who's the winner. I was like, awesome, this is great. And then it turns out he actually won. So good karma on that. So we'll play our Tesla open. Should we play that now? Okay, let's just play it now. Throw in the chat your Tesla opening price guess for tomorrow morning. Remember, this is market hours guess. So not pre-market, but 6:30 a.m. Pacific time, 9:30 Eastern time. What will Tesla open at officially tomorrow morning? Remember, we're sitting at 180.13 right now, sitting on Tesla. Crest was fast. 177, 178, 184. There we go. First time 176 from Richard. 260. Now, this is the type of optimism I like. Hopefully I'm back. Sorry, I just unplugged my entire mic. Sorry. I said onto some fun stuff, and then I think I got muted. Tesla FSD version 11 single stack is officially out. Anyone know? Okay, I'm back. Okay, great. Thank you guys. Anyone here have FSD V11? Please throw in the chat if you have FSD V11, because it's officially coming out. It's the single stack that we've all been waiting for. It's a big step for this to go wide release, and it feels like we're starting to see it officially hit the books. And of course, we have some YouTube videos to watch. I'll get to that in a second. But this is from Sawyer. Tesla beta V11.3.2 is rolling out as we speak. And again, this was yesterday night. So Let me know if anyone has this, but this is what I want to do. So Chuck Cook, you guys know Chuck Cook, and you guys know Dirty Tesla. These guys teamed up to test V11, okay, for unprotected left turns. Now they're in the same car here, and I'll play it here in a second.
And here comes the creep limit and the median network.
Yeah.
Both of these you've heard me talk about. There's my...
So I'm going to play this. Let's watch some unprotected left turns on V11. I'm not going to watch the entire thing, but shout out to Chuck and Dirty Tesla for coming together and giving us the content that we want. It'll be interesting to see Chuck's... I actually haven't watched this just yet, to see how this differs from the non-single
Yeah, there's no
stack.
way you can see.
You got to stop. Okay, there's a small gap, and look at it right there.
How can it see?
It used to go in that gap.
Yeah.
Now there's another small gap coming.
It could definitely.
It can go to the median.
Yeah.
It'll go. It'll gonna go to the median. But now it needs to commit. It needs to commit. That was a very hesitant commit. Now it needs to.
Oh, and by the way, so if you haven't watched some of these videos before, bottom left, this is more of the kind of the drone bird's eye view Tesla turning. This is the median they talk about. They should just rename this street FSD Street or something. And so here's the
Okay,
left
no,
turn.
that was good. That was actually good.
It made a good decision. Now I wish I had a little bit more boost right here,
Yeah.
but that's it. That was actually a pretty good one. Meaning like, had a little bit of traffic. It waited one. Did you think it was going to go on that first gap?
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
No. That second gap, though, I figured it would, and it did that hesitancy, which we see all the time. You're like, come on, just move through.
And that car was coming at us pretty fast.
was.
I'd have gone to the median quicker.
All right, let me add some context here for people outside the videos. Number one, this type of left turn is way more intimidating than it looks like on video, because I tried one on accident just manually in the X while we were in Florida. I bailed on it. I couldn't do it. Number two, Florida drivers are nuts. They drive really fast, really aggressively. So this is way more intimidating.
And you see this straightaway here?
Mm-hmm.
This is what lets them get faster. It's just like a motorcycle rider that's just going to take advantage of it. And see where it stopped right here?
Yeah.
I think...
You guys know that rule? There's like that rule in large corporations where like the president and the vice president and the executive team can't actually drive together in the same plane or drive together. Can't ride together in the same plane, you know, or drive together. I feel like there should be a rule like that here for these two gents. And yes, this is 11.3.2. This video came out less than a day ago though, so this is the most recent one that we have.
It thinks it stopped for the stop sign. Now
it's got a stop
and
line,
it stopped again, and then here's the creep limit.
So here's
and
where
there
you
it is.
cannot see. Look at that. No way. And then it creeps. You still, like, I can't see.
Right there.
Okay.
Now that fourth tree.
See? How can the B pillar see?
Do you see the fourth tree?
That's crazy.
The fourth tree is 80 meters.
Yeah.
How much farther are you looking?
Way.
Thousands
There's
of
a
meters.
gap though.
Here we go. It should go.
No.
Oh, it waited.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why it waited there. Now we have a car behind us. It should have gone to the median on that gap. I'm a little confused why it waited there.
Yeah, right side's pretty clear.
Now here's one where the car that is in our way is in the closest lane.
No, all good.
It waited there again.
Didn't budge.
This is new to 11.3. It is waiting more consistently, and it feels like it's looking further. Now, obviously, waiting may make it feel like it's looking further.
Yeah.
But obviously, right after this car, it should go, right? It shouldn't even hesitate.
Start rolling now. There it goes.
And there it did.
Yeah. Okay.
And looking to the right, it's going to roll it.
That's good. That's good.
Look at that.
It waited a long time for the perfect turn, I think. I mean, so...
That couldn't have been any better.
There we go.
Other than if you were in a hurry, you could have squeezed in the median or through those gaps. But for an automated car,
yes,
that's exactly what you want.
Robo-taxi wise, that is perfect.
You know, I want to say as well, yesterday, Avi showed me on Instagram, there was this viral clip going around, making its rounds. And it was essentially, I think it was Waymo. It was a grandpa taking a Waymo with his granddaughter, who, you know, was like adult age, and she's bringing him in a Waymo. And I found that, I was trying to find that video because I think that video was actually great. And I just can't wait for the day that Tesla we can have driverless rides, albeit maybe geofenced or something, but in a way that we can actually, you know, because right now, even though Tesla's FSD system can work, the goal is to work anywhere, drop it down, and boom, it can take you where it needs to go and face any situation. There's something about just general perception in the market still about these driverless cars that just seem like still that, I wish we could have a Waymo type experience with Tesla FSD today, meaning driverless, and hopefully Las Vegas, with the tunnels that comes out soon. So we'll see. Let's
For
continue.
a human, they would have done it sooner probably, but who cares?
Yeah.
And you know what I was confused about? This isn't part of the video. When I was doing that left turn, I didn't even think about getting in the median. I was like,
Is
oh,
that
I got
a local thing?
Yeah. Well, we don't really have this same kind of
Yeah.
turn by us. We have
Yeah.
Michigan lefts, which
Yeah.
are not like this.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That's the other thing is in Michigan, we don't really have U-turns. We have Michigan lefts, which I kind of are like a U-turn, but then
It goes under the overpass usually, right? Or
no,
some
no,
sort
no,
of-
no. It's just like this, but it has its own lane, and then usually it even has like a stoplight or a stop sign.
Yeah.
And so you get in the lane, and then you wait, and then you kind of do the turnaround. And some people in watching it on video have described it as 3 left turn or 2 left turns. You turn left and then you turn left.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right, we got a route.
I'm gonna record one more.
And here we go.
All right. So we're on.
We're round 3. So we got 2 good ones so far.
Yeah.
I really like the in all the new updates, they have the description of what the car is doing, stopping for a stop sign, waiting for pedestrian.
I'm very impressed. This is a
You see
hard
how this
maneuver.
obscuration changed? Did yours change too? That it doesn't look like it's drawing it as far. I
Right,
think it
yeah.
sees the same distance.
Yeah.
All right, creep limit, wide open. It should go.
Okay.
And it's going to roll it. Now that was a gimme.
Yeah.
But it didn't wait. It rolled it. It kind of crept,
Yeah.
checked, and then went for it.
That
So
was easy. But back in the day, they could have messed that up easily.
yeah,
Like, I don't want to forget the context of a year ago
yeah.
when it would and even this mechanic that basically they invented for you, we don't have that really in Michigan. Like, of course there's some
Yeah.
places you could find it, but it's pretty rare. So I never really experienced that kind of
Right.
center.
Here we
take.
go. There's the stop. Now look at this creep limit this time, and tell me what you think about how far it is out versus
Oh,
the
yeah,
traffic.
that's-
It's way. It
That's
is
the
the
limit.
line.
That's the limit. You wouldn't go any farther
Yep.
than that. Okay, cool. We got some.
Okay, we got some traffic here, and it looks like it's stuck. So I have to wait a little bit.
Yeah.
And I love to try to figure out is the visualization how
Mm-hmm.
far it can see. When you count those trees, 1, 2, 3, 4, that is the stated B pillar limit. It's acting like it's seeing a lot further than
Oh,
that.
for sure. Yeah. And that is really old data too. Who knows if they needed to update
Yeah,
that
once they
at
did the
some
bag
point.
of points, okay, it should go right about now.
Oh yeah. Yep. Started
And
rolling.
Very
It looks
slow
like it's
commit.
unsure about the right.
It might have been looking to the right though while
Yeah.
those cars got out of the way, and then it rolled.
Wow, that's sweet. This is great.
It's it's impressive when
heck?
I'll play on mute. It's impressive when it doesn't even look like spectacular. It just kind of looks like a casual driver at this point. There's no like big jerks. There's no like stop and start like there used to be. It's looking clean. And of course, there's even a more of a fresher update out since in the last 23 hours here. So I mean, it's really interesting to see. I'm not subscribed on my Hit That Bit channel. Hit subscribe, everyone. So we'll see. So he has 11.3.2 out. First impressions, 27-minute video. Go check that out. For me, I don't know if anyone else is like this. I'm big on the checking for unprotected lefts. To me, unprotected lefts for me is kind of the proxy metric. I don't know if it's a good one or not, but I just look at the unprotected lefts as, okay, well, this is probably the single hardest thing you're probably going to handle in driving most of the time, and the most dangerous. So if it can handle this, then you'd imagine it'd be okay as well. Tyler, how's it going, my friend? Happy Sunday to you. Clueless saying Musk should rent FSD to ICE companies, keeping them from going bankrupt and losing hundreds of millions of jobs. Hundreds of millions of jobs. It might be a lot, but the renting of FSD has been thrown around. I just again, definitely on board with it, but let's get there first. And of course, it's going to take a while. Farzad's been on the record, for example. He's come on this channel, and same with Nicholas from Investing Against Grain. And these guys try FSD beta regularly. And they say this year they're confident with the rate of progress that's happening. FSD beta is going to go, or FSD is going to go, it's going to go live this year. So, take that with a grain of salt, of course, but I don't have much experience with beta. I've only, as you guys know, driven or ridden as a passenger in one of them. Shout out to you, Lex. So, I guess the rate of progress is the real big one that we have to talk about, because the whole idea with FSD version 11, the single stack, of course, other than increasing the capabilities of FSD, is that the rate of progress should be faster too with FSD single stack, right? So more updates should come out faster, and things should get patched up faster as well, stuff like that. So Michael is given a counter take on this. I've had FSD for 15 months, and I think we're still 2 years out. So there you go. It's very geo dependent, isn't it? Like, if I'd reckon if you live in Florida, if you live in San Fran, if you live in Austin, these places, I'd imagine with the amount of FSD beta users, you would probably see a way better. You probably have a way better experience. So that's my opinion, at least. Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate the compliments. Tesla's market cap bigger than the next 5 car companies: Toyota, Ford. Well, actually, I didn't save this one, but there was this graph going around on Twitter the other day, and it was, correlation on the amount of unit vehicles on the x-axis that a car company does. So 1, 2, 5, 10, whatever million units per year, and then the EBITDA margin on the y-axis. And there was a negative correlation, of course, for all car companies, saying the more unit vehicles you sell, the lower your EBITDA margin gets. And some made comments about that not being statistically significant. James Stevenson did a video on this. But like, just a bet with Tesla at the moment, and I guess we'll find out how wrong or right we are, Tesla investors are making, is that with Tesla not having so many unit vehicles or different models, I should say, 3 or 4, 5, 6 models, and that's it, and not having so many trim levels that they have to mess around with, as they do more units per year, they can drive down cost more than a Toyota or more than a Ford, because or more than a GM, because they're trying to do 20, 25 different models, right? So I wish I saved that graph, but we'll see. Yes, we talked about the Swiss government and Credit Suisse in the beginning of the stream. Feel free to rewind and watch that back if you want after. But we talked about that all prior to. Agree that it's still years away from being ready, but still useful as it is. I wouldn't give it up for money. Well, there you go. So that's Alex chiming in with that. Autopilot, I must say. I went to Squamish Friday. Drove up to Squamish, hour there, hour back. Autopilot on for maybe 80% of my drive up there. There's a lot of, like, if anyone knows BC, sea to sky, that highway is like so windy, and it's kind of sketchy in a lot of areas. It's gotten a lot better, but it's kind of sketchy in some areas. So some areas I just took it off because I wanted to drive faster manually on, and with autopilot past like 90k an hour on some of these turns, I felt a little bit sketched out, and I often turn it down. I kind of have this hack that I use. I set my this is for highway driving for a lot of windy areas. I turn on autopilot to 60 or 70 kilometers per hour, so really slow on the highway. I turn it on that, and then I manually press the accelerator to get me up to 90 to 100 or whatever the speed limit is. And then on turns, I just let go of the accelerator. And so that way I can keep autopilot engaged the entire time, because if I set it to 100 and I let that roll, it'll sometimes go way too fast around turns for my liking. So setting it to lower and pressing the accelerator manually will keep autopilot engaged, but allow me to go faster if I need to as well. So just something I found here, to be useful. And one of the other things I really wish that autopilot could fix, in my opinion, is that if touching the brake didn't disengage autopilot. I know maybe it's probably not the safest thing, but so many times I just have autopilot engaged and I have to rest my foot somewhere. Like, my foot can't just be hovering in the air. And so I'll just very gently put my foot on the brake just to rest my foot, and it'll disengage autopilot. But I guess maybe that might actually be the point of it. So Richard's saying hard to get regulatory approval for FSD, but still will be popular and valuable as long as it works effectively prior to regulatory approval. But Richard, you were saying, there's no like outstandingly like wide outstanding ban that they could really put on it. It's very local specific, I believe. Hopefully I'm not putting words in your mouth there, but we were talking about, oh well, I was saying a lot of red tape. I'm not sure if FSD is going to get approved everywhere. And you were saying, well, look, you can get approved in this area and that area, independent to what happens. So that'll be interesting to watch, because we know Tesla, like, here's the thing about Tesla, right? We know Tesla will be close to launching FSD. When they announce a partnership for FSD. And let me just try to clarify what I mean there. So if Tesla knows that they're pretty close to solving FSD and that they could run some sort of a monetary platform or a monetized platform for their full self-driving cars, let's say in San Francisco from 3 p.m. to midnight, right? Well, we'd probably hear about some partnership with some municipality at least 3 to 6 months before, right? So I think I look at that as a leading indicator of to when we're going to be ready for FSD, is when we start hearing more updates from that. Because a lot of people think that we're going to wake up one day and there's going to be an update and it's going to be all amazing, and Tesla's going to solve full self-driving, and that's just kind of all she wrote, and that's it. And maybe we get to that point. I just not sure. But I continue to think it's going to be one of those things where Tesla is going to announce a partnership with a municipality, and then we'll go from there. So we'll see. Michael says, I agree, FSD is sometimes too aggressive in turns. Yes, and then it'll actually go outside of the lines as well to compensate, which is kind of the right move to do. But it's why get yourself in that place in the first place. Just slow down on these turns. Offsetting in turns would be great. Let's see here. Tesla bot. State by state, not crossing state lines. Right. And so for the majority of robotaxis, I mean, all of them really, drives are not going to be across state lines. The issue you get into interstate travel is trucking and logistics, right? And that's going to be a big story, I think, for Tesla Semi. So that's going to be interesting to keep our eye on. But for consumer-oriented robotaxis, really not an opinion, I think, right? Or something that we should worry about. Cities would more easily do it as there are less risk the car leaving the state. Yeah, I mean, Waymo does it. That's what I'm thinking is, like, if Tesla even can showcase what they have right now is better, like, let's do that. Like, why are we waiting? So, none of you says, hi, I would love your opinion on the lowest you think Tesla stock can get and the highest again in the next 2 years. Thanks much. Oh, predictions are a dime a dozen. I don't know. So, that dip to $100 that we just had recently would have never predicted that. So a lot of people coming out and saying, look, $100, what we passed, that's really the lowest that they can see it going again. I think all bets are off the table in the next year at least, because, and I mean this like really honestly, like up or down. And I don't try to say this as a cop out, because look at what we've just seen here in the last week and a half with the banking crisis going on. How this extrapolates out, what this means for the rest of the year could really go both ways, right? So let me paint the bearish picture first. Banking crisis, Fed has to step in. Fed has to continually step in. More crisis, more consumer confidence lost in the banking system. Fed caught with their pants down, having to lower interest rates to compensate, to fuel the economy, which, I guess you would think is a good thing. But essentially a systemic issue here. And if that's the problem, we get into perhaps talking about like what we talked about at the beginning of the stream with Balaji and his guess on hyperinflation. Okay, that's really like the bearish story. The bullish story is this banking crisis isn't really a crisis. It's not really widespread. It's just a few bad actors. It gets fixed. The government backstops. The government instills confidence again. Rate hikes pause. We get into an area where everyone thought there's going to be a recession. There actually isn't one. Inflation comes down, and then we slowly get into the next cycle of lowering interest rates once we start seeing jobs decline and stuff. And so that could be the bullish take on this. But I just feel like we're in such a unique position that the story isn't really even about Tesla at the moment. It's so macro oriented, and it has been for the last year and a half here, but really more so now. I'm not sure what Tesla could do really, other than deliver 5 million cars this year that could really move the needle that macro is going to dictate on. That's just my opinion. So I think the answer to your question really is, what are your thoughts on macro? And then from there, you can extrapolate it out. Sorry, that's kind of a cop-out answer, but it just, right now, macro is the leading indicator on everything, in my opinion. And maybe, Warren Buffett says this, right? Like, when everyone's focused on the wrong thing, you buy up good companies. So, you can look at this as an opportunity, good or bad. I'm not sure. So that's the decision for you to make. Yeah, trucking FSD will be a game changer. Agree, Todd. The semi-train, indeed. Nevada currently has no restrictions on autonomous vehicles. Good test. Well, that tunnel in Las Vegas, like, let's start doing driverless on that, folks. Like, come on. Fed needs to stop raising interest rates and focus on quantitative tightening. A lot of debate about quantitative tightening, or are we kind of easing right now? Like, what's happening? And you know what? I made this video about, okay, the bank started the money printer again. QE's back. Pseudo QE, I called it. I might have to take back some of my words. I'm doing more research on it, and it really doesn't seem like it's QE in any typical sense. And I know I said pseudo QE, but it's really, the collateral that's used is so prime, pardon the pun, so prime that it's really not inflationary what's happening. In fact, experts are saying it's deflationary, what we're seeing. Deflationary. So anyways, I could talk about this in a different video, but it seems like I might have gotten that mixed up a little bit on my previous videos that, or just my ranting videos that I talked about. Banking crisis is a crisis in that regulators are not doing their jobs, and that is the risk. Yeah, the risk is 100% the confidence, for sure. Yeah, a lot of people thought it was going to 85 at 60 when it was at 100, for sure. So, well, covered calls, let me look up what premium is looking like for covered calls, right? Let's see. Last I checked, premium was actually pretty cheap. So let's pull up 33 days out. So the next monthly options expiration. Let's go out one standard deviation, so about 16 or 17 delta. So if you want to sell a 220 strike on Tesla, just $40 out the money, right? $40 out the money. You get paid about $300 per lot of share. So you have to run your own risk reward on this and think, is it worth me collecting $3 worth of premium to hold a 220 strike covered call 33 days out? I'd argue that's not a lot of premium. It's a 10%. Hold on, let me just do some quick math. So you get $300. Let me just hold on. Actually, I don't know so if someone's selling covered calls, tell me if this is abnormally high or low. So $3 off of 100A where Tesla sits right now, that's about a 1.6%, right? That's really low. So digital thing's certainly not worth it. Well, again, you have to do your own risk reward. If you're 100% convinced that Tesla is not going up by even $1 here between now and 33 days, of course, your risk reward is going to be different. But of course, we don't know these things. But that's quite low, right? So, and again, that's 33 days out. So maybe that's too far out. Maybe you're looking at 12 days out. So not this week's option expiration, but the following week's option expiration. And you look at one standard deviation, that puts you around $200-ish on strike price. That's $20 out the money. And you get paid about $1.76, $175, right? The problem, Todd, with leaps, in my opinion, still is macro, right? And it's the same reason even last year. Let me just turn off this chat off my face. It's the same reason even last year. I talked about leaps, and I was like, look, I'm just not convinced this is the macro cycle right now for us to be talking about leaps, even if you buy a year or two out, because we just don't and didn't know what the Fed is gonna do. Like, they might just continue to raise rates out the wazoo and no one cares about it, and in which case leaps are just gonna eat up data, and they're just gonna sit there. So of course I'm actually seeing a lot of people saying, well, leaps are a great time to buy, and perhaps they are, and I hope everyone does well that trades or buys leaps up or down. I don't care. But the point here is, let's go to January 2020. Oh wow, January 2024 is less than a year away. That's just, I remember talking about these options when they just first came out. Like, okay, let's go to January 2025, right? January 2025. And at the money leap is about $6,000. So you own, you essentially, you can control a lot of shares at $180 for 670 days here at $6,000. Interesting. Let's go in the money a little bit. Let's go to about 70 delta. What is that? 70 delta is only one strike in. Okay, let's go to like 80. So 80 delta is about $8,000. So it's about 135 strike. It's about so $45 within the money. $8,000. Just do the math here. So your break even on this, $80 plus 140, right? So 220 is your break even in 670 days. And 670 days is January 2025. Interesting. I actually haven't looked at these in a while. Let's go to June 2025, just for kicks. The 150 strike is about a 78 delta, meaning if Tesla goes up by $1, it goes up by 78 cents on that dollar, this options contract. And a 150 strike is about, let's round up. Let's say $8,000, $80. So your break even on this is $230 per share on strike on Tesla in 824 days. That's actually interesting, actually. That's actually a lot lower than I thought. And this is not short term, right? 824 days out. June 2025. We could easily be in our next cycle of QE by then. Right? Okay, so you definitely got my wheel spinning a little bit here, Todd. I'm gonna have to think about it. Interesting. Thanks for bringing that up. A very negative article about FSD and Elon in the Washington Post today. Former employees criticizing the decision to skip radar. Well, suddenly everyone is an expert, right, on radar and not using it or using it. I don't claim to be one. I guess you could say I just appeal to authority and say, the engineers at Tesla are going to do what they think is best. And I think they're world-class leading engineers and the staff there. It's not just an Elon decision. So, you could say appeal to authority is also not correct, but, fair enough. There's just some things, honestly, that I'm just bad at this. And I'll just come out. You guys know I talk about this a lot. Some things I'm just not good at, and I just don't grasp well, and I lean on others a lot more than I probably should. And one of those things is engineering. And of course, Tesla is an engineering story, but really the finances talk for themselves. But engineering, and of course, I can get the first principles aspect for a lot of stuff. But when we talk about FSD software and neural nets, there's a lot of smart people out there that I just unfortunately have to defer a lot of my critical thinking to, which is probably not a good thing. But I'm trying to amass more of a context around this stuff. But it's just I'm not an engineer. I'm not an expert in neural nets. So there's some stuff like that where, hopefully over time I can get better at having more critical thoughts on. But it's just, I guess it's a work in progress for me. But, at least for me, I know that I like talking about the financial aspect. I can read the reports, that sort of stuff I am very interested in. I guess it's an interesting too, eh? Whenever you're interested in something, you probably dedicate a lot more time and energy into learning about it. And maybe that's just not the case with some aspects for me. Yes, hit that bit on a Sunday. Yes, folks. Sunday. By the way, I got a lot of positive feedback last Sunday's live stream. Let me know if the Sunday streams are actually working for people in terms of times. Even if you're watching this on a replay, let me know. If you're watching this on a replay, by the way, and you made it here all the way, shout out to you. Throw me a comment. But if the Sunday 11 a.m. Pacific, and I know it's last week with the time change, so some people got mixed up, but it seems like it seems like the Sunday live streams are just gonna be a lot easier for me. I can sleep in on the Sunday. I can get ready. I can do my own thing. I can then come here and do a live stream and then still have the rest of my day. I was thinking about doing a later night live stream on the Sunday, but I was like, man, the Sunday going into the work week is just going to be tough, probably. So yes. Yeah, I mean, definitely more options talk is always welcome for me. It's just, you know what? It's been one of those things where I've just teetered off of doing a lot of like leaps and shorter term bets than I have prior. And so I just talked about it less, but I love getting questions about it and I love diving into it because it's something that obviously I'm really interested in. So we'll see. Ah, very nice. Already watching as a replay. Where's the Juju? Well, folks, I know you guys want the Juju, and I should have brought the Juju hat, but I'm drinking coffee right now, so I think the Juju might be a little bit overkill. Awesome. Tyler says, my life is much less stressful avoiding options. Well, there's a degree of that as well into it. We're rallying here, folks. How's it going, Robbie? Maybe says, I love having to watch the Sunday evening. That's right. Yeah, my European friends get to watch this on the evening. No football, so why not? Oh, is football happening? Interesting. You guys know I'm not a football guy. I'm a full-on hockey nerd. Unfortunate Canucks fan. And hey, if anyone wants to come on debate me with hockey ever, the invite's always open. Okay. I might not actually defend the Canucks all the time because, you know, I'm pretty critical sometimes with what they do, but they are my team for better or for worse. So there is a game tonight, actually. I think we're playing the Ducks, which is going to be essentially a gong show. So I guess we'll see. All right. 1 hour on the live stream, folks. Much love for tuning in here with me on another Sunday live stream. Crazy week ahead. To summarize, don't leave just yet. To summarize, banking crisis still ongoing. Watch out for headlines on that heading into tomorrow morning. It's going to be kind of a gong show. Speaking of gong shows, right? Watch out for FOMC this week. Tuesday, Wednesday, they meet. Wednesday, we're going to have the J-Power press conference and Q&A. Look for a 25 basis point hike. That's what the consensus is. But man, if we get a pause on Wednesday, hallelujah. Watch out more for Tesla and the NASDAQ breaking key levels. The NASDAQ is at a pretty key supply on the upside. Don't be surprised if it gets slapped down off of it. And then last but not least, Tesla FSD V11 is out. You can watch all this, by the way, on the replay and tune back later. But it's very exciting times with Tesla FSD V11. And if anyone watching this channel has V11, please give us your thoughts on it in the comments. And so we'll see. I hope we lose. All right, guys, take care, everyone. Be well. Yes, indeed. Remember, have some time to yourself this weekend. Do whatever you need to do to prioritize yourself. I'll catch you guys this week on clips, impromptu lunch videos that I post out, or morning videos that I push out. Hit subscribe on your way out if you haven't subscribed already. Hit like on this video to show YouTube that it's a good stream, and join me on Discord if you want, via Patreon if you'd like. Patreon access on any level, $5 per month or more gets you into Discord, and or YouTube membership as well. You don't have to join on Patreon. Patreon.com/hitthebed. Much love. Thank you, folks. Appreciate it. Take care, everyone, and be happy, be healthy, and be safe. Take care. Peace.